Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
And good morning to you, one and all of you fellow liberty lovers and you ecclesiastites all across the globe. Yes, it is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live once again from the Bunker Eye studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust, and even on this snowy morning, yes, I checked again today, and it did not change. The call-in number is 603-835-3226. Here it is on Wednesday, Hump Day, December the 7th in the year of our Lord 2016. Yes, I want to get to January 20th as quickly as most people do. But yet and still, it is only Wednesday, December the 7th in the year of our Lord 2016. It is also a Memorial Day of sorts. It is Pearl Harbor Day, because on December 7th, 1941, a day which will live in infamy, the Imperial fleet of the forces of the Empire of Japan deliberately attacked our naval base and naval station located at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, before Hawaii was a state. And that really got us into World War II. They had a program on, they've had a couple of programs on like the Discovery Channel and the History Channel talking about Pearl Harbor, the history of Pearl Harbor, and did we know that it was going to happen? And quite frankly, there have been a number of theories. Some of those theories have actually been, well, you could put two and two together and say that they've been proven. And there was a lot of miscommunication, and some people might even say just downright treason on the part of some of the senior military staff back in the day. They didn't notify Pearl Harbor Command. They didn't notify the president, FDR at the time, that an attack from Japan was imminent. Part of it was also the fact that Japan also got their timing off in a couple of places. So it led to all the factors led up to this one horrific point, which got the United States into the war at the time it needed to get into it in order to defeat Japan, Italy, and Germany. You have some historians that say that eventually the United States would have been forced into the war even if Japan didn't attack Pearl Harbor, that we would have had to have gotten into the war at some point. But if we got into the war later than we did, a good possibility is that we could have lost one, if not both, fronts. In other words, we may have won Europe, but we would have lost Asia to Japan. We may have beat Japan, but we wouldn't have been able to beat back Germany and France and Germany and much of the Western Europe would still be under German control today, and we'd probably still have the Soviet Union instead of just Russia, because the Soviets would have been able to blunt Hitler's advance any further into Russia. So we would have had two massive enemy fronts here. No France, but we'd have had Germany. And we would have still had the USSR. And we'd be dealing with China right now, which is most likely would have been the case. We probably would have been able to defeat Japan easier than Germany. And it would have been horrible if Japan would have won. Could you imagine Japan having not only Japan, but China? Having control of China and the Koreas? Remember now, there would be no North and South Korea. There'd only be one Korea. There'd be no Taiwan. Possibly the Philippines would be gone. This world would have been much different if it were not for the events on December 7th, 1941. Yeah, it was tragic. Over 2,000 servicemen and women and children perished that day. But was it God's timing? Because if we had entered the war later, things could have turned out completely different. We can look back and Monday morning quarterback all this stuff and see what was going on at the time. But I got to tell you, when you start looking at the after effects of what happened on that day and what could have happened if that day did not take place, would we have still gotten in the war if we had been prepared for Japan's attack? Yeah, we would have, because they still would have attacked us. But if we knew, if everybody that should have known knew what military intelligence knew back then, there's a good chance that they could have blunted it to begin with, and they never even would have gotten close to Pearl Harbor. It is what it is, I suppose, and we should remember that it was 75 years ago. Unbelievable how time flies. And yes, believe it or not, there still are a handful of Pearl Harbor survivors still alive today. That puts them in their 90s. So glad that some of them are still around to be able to tell us firsthand of what it was like at Pearl Harbor. But we'll soon, I'm sure by the time the next round number anniversary comes around, like the 80th anniversary, we won't have any of them alive. Well, let's face it, they're in their 100 years old by then. Most of them, if they're still alive. But yes, take some time today to remember Pearl Harbor. Take some time today to learn something about Pearl Harbor that you did not know before. Let us not forget, and let us not ever let our vigilance fall to such a point where we could be surprise attacked. Even though, obviously some people can argue that it was not a surprise to many of the military in Washington, D.C., and the military intelligence. But to the president and to the command in Pearl Harbor on that day, it was a surprise. They were not expecting it. But today is Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. And I don't think it's still snowing in Hawaii, by the way, today. But we did have a coating of snow here in New England, and once again, all the trees are coated and looking very pretty. There's no sunshine, so there's no glitter off the trees as of yet. Maybe the sun will come out a little bit later today. I'm not sure, but one of these days, I'm my dream home. Let me share something with you. My dream home is something called Lindell Custom Cedar Homes. Now, if anybody, they're located in Washington State. That's where they're headquartered. Sir Walter Lindell formed the company many, many years ago. I think he's since passed away, but his children, his family still run the business. It's a family business. I think he's also Canadian. But anyway, fell in love with these homes, this style of home, a long time ago. Now, they're not inexpensive. They're really not. I mean, they have some inexpensive models. You can also design your own home as well. But they're a custom cedar home, and they're not post and beam. No, they are post and beam, but and they also come in a log form. Most of the time, they're square logs. They're milled square logs, but they're beautiful homes. And they can be built in a traditional style, like New England farmhouse or Cape or something, or the very more contemporary styles, like having these big prow glasses, walls of glass window in a shape of a boat prow. They're beautiful. And one of these days, I have said that I've designed a Lindell home that one of these days I'm going to build. There was one point where it got really ostentatiously large, and it would have cost over $1 million to build it. But I have since scaled back to the original format, and what I want is a nice fireplace that also gives me a view of looking out that big prow of glass out onto my back 40 acres, if you will, of trees and fields with the snow falling. And I'm sitting there with a cup of coffee, no liquor in it, of course, because it's still morning, with a cigar, just enjoying nature and God's providence on me. One of these days, I'm going to get that home. I'm going to build it, and I'm going to live just such a thing. Probably in my days of retirement, if I ever do. You know what retirement really is? Retirement is having the time to do whatever you want to do and being able to afford to do it. So if you want to sit in a nice, comfy, arts and crafts chair in front of a roaring fire with a cup of coffee and a cigar in your hands, looking out your window to your beautiful backyard, you can do that. Or some people, retirement would be being able to travel wherever they wanted to go for a week or two, anytime they wanted to. That would be some people do that in retirement. And still some people, they love work so much, like Donald J. Trump, that basically they have nothing to retire from because they're already living and doing exactly what they want to do. So we all have this, we've been told this notion is, you get to 65 or you get to 66 or 62 and a half, whatever, and you quit work. That's retirement. You sit around and do nothing in a rocking chair. That's what you're supposed to do because you're old. So you sit on the porch in a rocking chair and just watch the world go by every day. That seems to be boring to me. Got to do something. You can start your day off with a cigar and a cup of coffee and a roaring fire. I mean, I wouldn't sit there all day long every single day. That would be boring. There are plenty of things I could be doing. I have vast interest. I could travel a little bit. I love woodworking, by the way. One of these days I'm going to have myself a Norm Abram New Yankee workshop with that Lindell. Absolutely. If you've ever seen it, I've seen programs, a couple of programs where they've done there was the old New Yankee workshop, and then there was a new one. It's not that new anymore, but he built a new one while the show was airing because he built a new house, or he renovated a house and built a new Yankee workshop about halfway through its run. And I've seen video tours of both shops. And you want to talk about a green-eyed monster over here about a woodworking shop. That guy had and he probably still does, has just about every modern woodworking tool known to man, both hand and powered. Yeah, of course, his position helped him get a lot of that stuff. People would companies would give him tools to test and to showcase on his show. But some of the stuff he bought, obviously. But yeah, one of these days I'm going to have a shop like that. But anywho, we will take a quick break and be right back. Got a lot to cover. By the way, Donald Trump is Time Magazine's Person of the Year. We'll talk about that. Plus, they're still talking about Donald Trump canceling the Boeing Air Force One order. And no, he's not president, so he can't cancel it. But that's not stopping the left from lying about it. And they're saying, oh, he's so off. $4 billion. It's only $170 million. Folks, they just lied to you when they told you that the cost of the two new Air Force One jets is only $170 million. We'll get to that, too, as well. So hang in there, folks. We'll be right back. You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Once upon a time, old Scrooge sat down before the fire.
Humbug.
His glance happened to rest upon a bell. With great astonishment, this bell began to swing, as did every bell in the house. Without a pause, Marley's ghost came on through the heavy door and passed into the room before his eyes.
Who are you? What do you want with me?
I am here to warn you. You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
I'd rather not.
Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1. Expect the second the next night at the same hour. And the third upon the next night.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over with?
To read A Christmas Carol and other books online, go to www.read.gov. Explore new worlds. Read. Yeah! Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Six 835-3226 is the number to call should you wish to join me, yours truly, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show this morning. One of the yes, Donald Trump has been named Time Magazine's Person of the Year, and we'll get into a little bit later in the program as to why they did it. It's not for the reasons that you might think, but it's typical liberalism stuff. But this whole Boeing mess. Let's delve into that for a second. Now, you've got the lamestream media out there talking about, well, Donald Trump can't order them to stop building the plane, and it's only going to cost $170 million for the planes, and not $4 billion. And they're trying to make him sound like an idiot. Now, obviously, this is they tried to do the same thing with Ronald Reagan, and you can see that they're already trying to do that with Donald. The problem with Donald Trump is that Ronald Reagan did not have this to his advantage, is that even though Ronald Reagan was not an idiot, he was not a fool, he was not stupid, he was not suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's in his 2 terms. And he was far from stupid. Just like they did with George W. Bush. They said that George W. Bush was stupid. Also not, academically speaking and successful in life speaking, definitely not a stupid man. Obviously, neither is Donald Trump. You don't get to be a billionaire a few times over by being stupid or being lucky. So what he was talking about, again, it's because the lamestream media is trying to redefine what words mean and terms, is that the total package of these 2 jets that have yet to be delivered to the United States Air Force for the use of the President of the United States would be about $4 billion. Now, when you look at the numbers actually closer, without any cost overruns, which always happen, you're actually looking at, so far, a total, as we know the cost will be today, for these 2 aircraft of about close to $2 billion. The $170 million is not for the aircraft itself. The $170 million that Boeing has this contract, quote unquote, for today is to study and test all of the stuff and the feasibility of all the stuff that the Air Force says needs to be in the new Air Force One. So a lot of this stuff hasn't been tested or proven or utilized or maybe even invented yet. But the contract is for $170 million just for that stuff alone. Now, obviously, when you're introducing any new technology or less than mainstream technology, it's going to cost a lot more than the average mainstream technology of the day. So these jets are going to be, top of the line, newfangled technology that has not been utilized or seen before, at least in this particular way, ever before in an aircraft. So it's going to cost a pretty penny per jet. And Boeing is going to want to make a profit on it, obviously. So when the news media tells you that, well, no, Boeing only has a contract for $170 million. Well, that's not the full story. And by the way, for those of you who say that Trump has a conflict of interest because he owns Boeing stock, well, here is something else that was buried in a story the other day about this very notion. Donald Trump sold all his interest in Boeing back in June of 2016. He doesn't own Boeing. There is no conflict of interest there. Isn't that wonderful how the lamestream media just sort of it keeps on keeping on with their BS? Keep on with their BS. It's getting to the point where you can't even, you shouldn't have to fact check the fact checkers. But this is what you get. After every newscast today, you've got to fact check the fact checkers. Because you're going to find out that the fact checkers, aren't telling you the whole story. And because they're purposefully leaving out certain aspects of a story, it gives you a totally different view of the story, which is wrong. And that is done on purpose. Maybe they're not lying to you, but they're only telling you just a small fraction of the true story. So you get a certain view of that story as if, Donald Trump thing, the Boeing thing. Oh, it's only $170 million, not $4 billion. See, Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He's stupid. That's the impression that you're going to get. The truth is Donald Trump is right on the money. Because when you listen to the whole story, when you get all the information, you realize, he's a smart guy after all, isn't he?
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
603-835-3226 is the call-in number, should you wish to join me live this morning. Welcome back. It is I coming at you once again, your lovable host, L. Rod. It is that time in the program at this time of the year that we like to play Christmas music for you. We have a new one here. First of all, let me say that next week we have a number of narrated shorts by Billy Van Horn. And for those of you who don't know who he is or what he sounds like, you will get to hear his deep baritone voice. The man is multi-talented. He's a great musician, and he's a fantastic narrator with that narrator type of baritone voice. So he's got a few narratives that he's sent over to us. He did one last year for us, and huge success. People loved it. So he's done a few more for us this year, and we'll play those next week. So you're going to want to be here for those. But for now, we've got another wonderful independent artist out there, Dave Melillo, Melillo. And his rendition of All I Want for Christmas is not, two front teeth. But that's also a Christmas song. All I want for Christmas is my two front teeth. No, wrong one. You can find him at myspace.com/David Melillo. Yeah, MySpace is still around, by the way. It's just they reinvented themselves a few years back into being, I guess, what it was originally thought to be, like a music and artist type of outlet. It is nowhere near the size that it once was in its heyday. But, you can find some good stuff, good artists over there. And I guess, for whatever reason, he's pointing us to his MySpace page. That's what he wants, myspace.com/David Melillo. That's Melillo. And here is his rendition of All I Want for Christmas.
I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. And I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. Oh, all I want for Christmas is you. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need, and I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I don't need to hang a stocking there up on the fireplace. Santa Claus will make me happy with a toy on Christmas Day. 'Cause I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you. This Christmas, I don't even wish for snow. I'm just gonna keep on waiting underneath the mistletoe. 'Cause I just want you here tonight, holding on to me so tight. What more can I do? All I want for Christmas is you.
Melillo, All I Want for Christmas. That's Melillo at myspace.com/Dave Melillo. Thank you, David, for your rendition of All I Want for Christmas. I know what a lot of people want for Christmas. What a lot of people want is they want Trump as president. Can't blame them. Cannot blame them. A lot of people want him in as president, and hopefully we'll. There is a story here, but it got pulled about time. It's a science story, but the gist of it, I tried to find it this morning. I saw it late last night, and you save the link, and you go to the link this morning, and now the story's been pulled. But the story basically was this, that I don't know how they study this stuff. I'm not an astrophysicist or astroscientist, whatever they call those people that study that kind of stuff. They're very smart, very learned people. Let's put it that way. Their math skills go way beyond mine. But evidently, somehow they were able to study this, and they studied it and said that our days are getting longer and slower. Now, again, I don't know how they I can see how they can measure the rotation of the Earth, and yeah, the Earth is the rotation is slowing down. It has been since the beginning of time, and now roughly we're close to a 24-hour day. But I according to them, when the Earth, first became recognizable as the Earth, the day was less than 20 hours long. So over that 6 billion years, we've slowed down. The rotation has slowed down to just under 24 hours for a day. But it's continuing to slow. I don't recall reading the story how fast or how much it's slow, but it's microseconds per year or something like that. But they're also saying that days are getting longer as far as time itself is stretching out. Now, I don't know how you can measure that. So 24 hours today is actually longer than 24 hours was a year ago. I don't know how they do that. Again, maybe they got it wrong. That's why they pulled the story, because I can't find it now. But it's quite interesting. You know how sometimes you say, well, geez, this is a long day. Evidently, there is some scientific reality to time either speeding up or slowing down. Now, I don't know how, for one person, time could be going fast, and another person, it can be going slow beyond perception and actually in reality. Are they in two different dimensions at the same time? Or two different planes, or what have you? That's for people a lot more learned than I in that area to discuss. But it just seems impossible. Well, I guess if you were to look at it this way, time is relative, and time is not linear like humans like to think it is. We're linear creatures. We have a beginning, a middle, and an end. We always believe that there's a beginning to something, which is why we can't fathom the whole point that God has always been there. Hey, he had to be born, right? Right? Isn't that what everybody thinks? Because that's how we are. That's how humans are built. But understand, all we have to do is really look at our own pets to realize that time is not linear. Because cats and dogs do not measure time the same way we do. They really don't have a concept of time. Sure, they understand that if somebody hasn't been around for a while, they kind of notice that it's been a few days or so that they haven't been there. They don't know the exact amount of time, though. Their time, which is why a cat or a dog can just lay there And you think, well, geez, what are they thinking? I mean, they got to be bored half out of their minds, just like they don't have a concept of time as we do. So no, they're not always bored. So we have this concept that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. But that's not what time is. Time is not linear. But we measure it in a linear fashion. And I know a lot of people just can't wait for that linear fashion to get to January 20th at noon so they can begin partying. But I know somebody who won't be partying. That would be down in Mexico. Mexico is not going to be partying on January the 20th. Here it is from Fox News Latino. Yeah, latino.foxnews.com. Well, why does Fox have I don't know. But there's a carrier backlash, evidently, down in Mexico. The governor of the affected Mexican state or province calls for a boycott of Texas businesses because Trump says this is hilarious, folks. Excuse me. A governor in Mexico isn't taking U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's efforts to keep jobs from moving south of the border sitting down. That's right. Jamie Rodriguez, the maverick governor of Nuevo León, is calling on residents of his state and neighboring Tamaulipas to avoid shopping in McAllen and South Padre Island, Texas, just across the border. And this is in response for Trump having crafted a deal by which air conditioner manufacturer Carrier will keep more than 1,000 jobs at an Indiana plant instead of moving them to Mexico. So this Mexican governor is upset that we're keeping our jobs. Now, are you folks hearing this? We're not going to build a wall, says Hillary Clinton. And here, before Trump even takes office, and he's already moving to keep jobs here in this country and keep them from moving south of the border. Now, that's got the Mexicans ticked off. Wait a minute. You're supposed to bring those jobs. Screw you, Americans. Bring your jobs down here. So now the Jamie Rodriguez, the governor of Nuevo León, he's saying, with us not going to McAllen for 15 days, Trump will change his opinion. No, he won't. In fact, you'll just prove his point. You'll prove his point. See, these are American jobs, not Mexican jobs. If Mexico, why can't Mexico develop their own crap? We did. You know, start your own carrier type of company down there instead of trying to lure people to come down there and steal our jobs. Well, I mean, it's all worldwide competition, so I guess it's not stealing jobs. But what's wrong with Americans keeping jobs in America? Now, but he thinks that not shopping in McAllen in South Padre Island will change Trump's mind. Now, I've recently been to McAllen. I was there back in September. I was in McAllen, Texas, and went to dinner in South Padre Island. Beautiful part of the country, beautiful part of the state of Texas. Yeah, and they gave me a tour. We toured the gate, as it were, the border gate between Mexico and the USA. It was a very busy border crossing. But let me the people down there, they have a very different view of Mexicans than the rest of the country does. You know, they're very open to Mexicans crossing back and forth and Americans crossing back and forth the border. In a legal fashion. They don't even think twice about it. It's just part of life. But let me tell you something. The people of McAllen, Texas, They want legal border crossing. And if the border got shut down, from what I understood while being there, most business owners in McAllen, Texas, would not mind. So this whole notion that we're somehow going to suffer because they're not Mexicans, Nuevo Leon is considered to be Mexico's wealthiest state or province, if you will. New York City or Mexico City is a large metropolis, but how many people? Was it 12 million people in Mexico City? It's something like that. It's more than New York City. It's ridiculous. It's kind of like an LA and you got to be careful because Mexico is actually in the North American continent, not the Central or South American continent. It's actually, I know we like to say South America, it includes Mexico, but technically Mexico is part of North America. It's probably, Mexico City is probably the largest city in the Western Hemisphere, I do believe. And it's kind of like Los Angeles. It's just a sprawling metropolis, and it keeps growing. Mostly because Mexicans in most of the rest of the country, if they're not crossing the border into the U.S. legally or illegally looking for work, they're moving to Mexico City because there's nothing else out there. But Nuevo Leon has seen a lot of American companies transfer operations of some sort to that particular region. And thus, it has given rise to these people having jobs and money. So look, when you see 1,000 jobs coming to you for 1,000 Mexicans to have jobs, I can see why a governor of a Mexican state might be a little upset that those jobs aren't coming now. But you know what? That's part of international competition. Would Mexico like any of those Mexican jobs to go someplace else? Would they like them to go to South America? Would they like them to go to, like Guatemala and Central America? Would they like those? Would they like and be open to the fact that some of those jobs might go to China? Well, of course not. So why should they be upset about the United States wanting to keep jobs in the USA? I mean, after all, we do got to pay for the illegals that keep crossing the border. You want to keep sending them here? I mean, we got to pay for them somehow. It's just not going to pull cash out of the sky. There are no money trees that grow money. But I just think it's quite interesting and quite telling that these people down there are upset with us and Trump because, he saved a few jobs. Really? How terrible. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, But now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Once upon a time, old Scrooge sat down before the fire.
Humbug.
His glance happened to rest upon a bell. With great astonishment, this bell began to swing, as did every bell in the house. Without a pause, Marley's ghost came on through the heavy door and passed into the room before his eyes.
Who are you?
What do you want with me?
I am here to warn you. You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
I'd rather not.
Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1. Expect the second the next night at the same hour. And the third upon the next night.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over with?
To read A Christmas Carol and other books online, go to www.read.gov. Explore new worlds. Read. Yeah! Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
You know, when it comes to jobs, and you've got Trump out there already saving jobs, can you imagine what he's going to be able to do once he has the power of the pen, as Obama says? I got a pen, and I got a cell phone. I'm going to use them. Now, how about somebody who has a pen and a cell phone and can use it for the good of the American people? I think that's pretty damn exciting. If you want a job, there's the wall. I know Wall Street is no longer the harbinger of what the economy in this country is like, but you can't ignore the fact that there is a definite uptick in people's perceptions about the near future of this country, and you can't ignore the fact that Wall Street is going gangbusters right now. I mean, it is there. You want to talk? They're racing towards 20,000 for the industrial average, and that's even though he hasn't even taken office yet. But the things that he says he wants to do, and he's already starting to deliver before he... This is something different that no other president-elect in the history of this nation has ever been able to do. They have never been able to affect policy before they take the oath of office. Even though Obama once was running around out there with his seal... office of the president-elect, of which there is nothing like that whatsoever. There is no office of the president-elect. But here, Donald Trump is already doing things, and they're getting mad at him. Well, Obama's still the president. Well, he's just getting a head start on all this stuff, folks. Nothing wrong with getting a head start, especially when it benefits us, and he's starting already to live up to the promises that he's already made. Sounds good to me.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live once again from the Bunkerized studio somewhere within the snowy, centralized New Hampshire area, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. The call-in number here to the studio is 603-835-3226 on this Wednesday, December 7th, in the year of our Lord 2016. 75th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, known as a Day of Infamy. And we do take this day to remember and thank all of those service members, most of whom are, who've passed on now, the survivors as well. There are a handful of survivors still remaining, still alive and with us. And thank them deeply for their commitment and their service in what was a horrific U.S. naval defeat. Now, I hate to use this word fair, but granted, it wasn't a fair fight. I mean, the Japanese did it at the perfect time. Sailors were still sleeping in their bunks. They were not standing guard. The aircraft were not where they probably should have been. They learned a lot from that attack, and the military took steps. We no longer have the planes that were on the ground. They were just sitting ducks, and the Japanese didn't really have to do much. They could easily get multiple aircraft with one bomb because they were parked so close together, and they were just crammed together. And of course, if one blows up, then the two beside them are possibly going to blow up as well. And that's what happened. And we know this for sure because we've got recordings of some of the radio communications and the Japanese pilots saying this is nothing. They're like sitting ducks. This is like easy target practice. They didn't have to do much. And that was the way the whole day or whole morning went. And over 2,000 people, not just sailors, but men, women, and children, civilians as well, were also killed in that raid, in that attack. But yeah, one of the best movies still to date about what happened at Pearl Harbor is not the movie Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett. No. That was a long, boring version of that. One of the best movies today is still Tiger, 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 or should I say in Japanese, Tora, Tora, Tora. I think that movie was made, 1970, 71, 72, early 70s around there. Either 70, somewhere between 70 and 72 is when that movie was made. And that was about Pearl Harbor. And that pretty much showed exactly what happened. Much like Saving Private Ryan, there are people that couldn't see. They had to leave the theater, some soldiers, because they said that was the most realistic portrayal of being in that war that they've ever seen. And it just made them think that they were back there. And that's what a lot of Pearl Harbor survivors said about the movie Tora, 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 that it was that day for them, from what they can remember, that movie brought it back. So, if you ever get the chance, if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest renting or buying Tora, Tora, Tora. And if you can't rent it somewhere, then you can definitely probably get it on Amazon for a couple of bucks. I mean, come on. It's not going to be expensive. You spend more money on other foolish things, and Tora, Tora, Tora is actually very good. It's a good movie. I've seen it a few times. They used to have it on every year. It used to be like a December 7th movie. Kind of like Christmas Story and What's a Wonderful Life at Christmas time. Tora, Tora, Tora was also a very prominent film on December 7th. Do they still play it? It may have it on American Movie Classics, AMC. If they don't, then just get it from Amazon. I'm sure you can get it. Anyway, no, it's not an advertisement for Amazon. They don't need me to advertise for them. I'd be more than happy to if they want to sponsor this program. But they're doing quite well without having to spend a lot of money on sponsorships and advertising. Well, they are. They got almost 1/3 of the Black Friday shopping dollar. I believe that little over 30% of the online shopping dollar went to Amazon. That's just a juggernaut. Unbelievable. Then, of course, you'll probably get some future bureaucrat that's going to, like they did to Microsoft and like they did to AT&T, they're going to want to break it up. This is why some of these companies, like Google, Google has formed. It's no longer Google, by the way. You still have Google, obviously, but Google is not the main company anymore. The parent company is now called Alphabet, and Amazon has been doing certain things like this as well of late, and breaking up their big business model into smaller companies that they hold, because in case the good old Fed of any government, the EU or the USA, decides that they're too big for their britches, it'll be easier for them to break up because they will already have had their businesses in modular form. And this is, this government does this. Yeah, it was a good idea for the telephone companies, Ma Bell, because it was a government monopoly to begin with. So basically the government just said, well, we're not going to have this monopoly anymore. So they had to break up AT&T, American Telephone and Telegraph Company, and that's how we got the baby bells and things like that. But, they tried to do the same with Microsoft. Well, Microsoft is too big. They're not a monopoly, though. Amazon is not a monopoly. People may want to go there because they got what people want. That's not Amazon's, fault that nobody else can do the same thing or won't do the same thing. That's probably more like it. And Google can't be blamed. That's where people wanted to go to get search engine results. It was Google. They didn't like, MSN at the time and now Bing. They didn't like Yahoo and Ask and all the other search engines. People just didn't like them. For whatever reason, they chose Google. It is what it is. But you have government regulators that seem to think, well, you shouldn't be allowed to get too big. You shouldn't be allowed to get too big. I'm surprised they don't do that in real estate yet. There are some real estate companies that just own a bunch of properties across the country. And, like Trump, for instance. Trump owns, as far as the total worldwide real estate market is concerned, Trump doesn't even own 1% of it, but it's still not a tiny portion of it. And one of his properties, at least, I know you got some properties at which he doesn't own or have an interest in anymore, but still bear his name, want to change the name to get rid of the Trump moniker. But there's one building that may change its name simply because, well, he's now president. Trump Tower, his headquarters, his shining example of his building and deal-making acumen, Trump Tower, may change its name to Presidential Tower, but they're marketing it. There are people out there marketing Trump Tower. Evidently, there's an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment in Trump Tower that is currently for sale for $2.1 million. Now, here's how they're marketing it. And they're not wrong, really. They're really not. They're advertising, a real estate firm that has the listing is advertising the Secret Service. Yes, it's the hot new amenity at Trump Tower now because Secret Service is all over the place. They're calling it the most secure tower in the country, probably the world, which in reality it is. Do you realize that Donald J. Trump, now going back through history of our country, I can't really recall any president being born, raised, and lived in a major metropolitan area. Usually, where all the presidents came from, country areas, rural areas, or country areas that we probably might now call suburban areas, the suburban areas of the day. They weren't born and raised and lived in a major metropolitan city. Donald Trump, I think, is the first, maybe I have to go back through and read, the history of all the presidents, but I can't recall a president coming from a city like Donald Trump is. He's a city dweller. And he's the first one, because all the presidents, past presidents, they've had individual houses. There are a couple of presidents, like the Clintons, that didn't own a house, but before they got into office. But Trump is the first one that's owned a skyscraper or a tower or lived in an apartment building, basically. Not a individual home. So it was probably a little bit, I'm sure there are some, there are some issues with securing that building. But in a way, it's probably easier than trying to secure somebody's house that sits on a few acres. It's much easier to control access to the building of a tower than it is to control access of a, like say the Clintons' property in Chappaqua, sitting out in the middle, all open like that. I mean, it's just the dynamics are just totally different. But last week after Trump was elected, or less than a week after Trump was elected as president, prominent New York real estate agency Douglas Elliman blasted out an email with the subject, Fifth Avenue buyers interested in Secret Service protection. And this was to advertise a $2.1 million, 1,052 square foot condo, one-bedroom condo in the tower on Fifth Ave. So basically the amenity, the United States Secret Service, is the newest amenity, and it is you can't find another building in New York City that has that type of security. Now, you want to live in a secure building? Well, I guess Trump Tower on Fifth Ave would be it. And so somebody's thinking that's a positive sign and trying to make some money off of it, which brings up the fact now they're talking about, Donald Trump has so many business interests and so many business connections. How are they going to keep people from utilizing the fact that, that he's now the president? Well, they did the same thing with Ronald Reagan. I think it wasn't at a time that the White House issued a statement saying that Ronald Reagan should not be used to promote people's stuff. And so instead of using Ronald Reagan themselves, they went out and got a bunch of people, Ronald Reagan lookalikes. I don't know if I don't think there are any Donald Trump lookalikes running around out there, but they're going to use his name. Look, his name is everywhere. His name is a brand. Ronald Reagan didn't have a brand. Trump is not only his name, but it's a brand. And it's out there. So, of course, people are going to make the connection. People who aren't even related to Trump, who have the same last name as Trump, they might not even come from the same part of the world as Trump. Because remember, Trump is of Dutch-German area heritage, and his last name was Drumpf before he moved here. But there are other places that have the name Trump. A guy out in Oregon who his last name was Trump, no relation to Donald, and people were throwing him hate and shade because his last name was Trump. And he's not even from that area that Donald Trump's family's from. You know, he's Irish, I think it was, or Irish heritage. But nobody else pays attention to the name Trump that anybody else has the name Trump. It's all about Donald because he's made it a brand. So, yeah, people are going to utilize that. And whether or not, you know, hey, look, if your last name is Trump out there, and even though you're not related to Donald, you might as well use your name. Because people are going to make the connection. It's just, you can't not make the connection now. You just can't. And I don't know what are they going to do? Start doing, saying that people can't use the name Trump anymore? I don't think that's going to fly, especially with people whose names really are Trump. I wonder if anybody's going to change their name to Trump now, just so they could take advantage of that. Notice nobody changed their name to Obama. In fact, now on Twitter, Obama's brother has a very active Twitter page, and he even says, well, now that my brother is leaving office, I'm more free to express my opinion. And frankly, if I'm following him, and if he's really Obama's brother, I got to tell you, he's not a fan of his brother. Not at all. You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Once upon a time, old Scrooge sat down before the fire.
Humbug.
His glance happened to rest upon a bell. With great astonishment, this bell began to swing, as did every bell in the house. Without a pause, Marley's ghost came on through the heavy door and passed into the room before his eyes.
Who are you? What do you want with me?
I am here to warn you. You will be haunted by three spirits.
I'd rather not.
Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls one. Expect the second the next night at the same hour. And the third upon the next night.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over with?
To read A Christmas Carol and other books online, go to www.read.gov. Explore new worlds. Read. Yeah! Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Something I want to get to right after the break, and it involves Trump and China. Welcome back, folks, to the Rod Eccles Show. And it's how China, because of the Taiwan thing. Here's some news about the Taiwan thing that you're just probably not hearing in the lamestream media for good reason on their part. It's not a good reason, but from their part, they think it's a good reason because they just don't like Trump anyway. And then you're probably going to hear all kinds of look. We're already hearing all kinds of negative things about Trump's lifestyle. Melania doesn't want to move into the White House right away. Well, look, I've said this before, and it's not to degrade the White House. The White House is a beautiful mansion, and the living quarters of the first family is also very nice, very beautiful. But it's not Trump Tower. I mean, if you've ever seen pictures of the inside of Trump's main home, it's very opulent and ostentatious. Trump has jokingly said about his plane versus the current Air Force One, but using the Air Force One would be a step down for him. Again, because that ostentatiousness, that flaunting of wealth, if you will, is very apparent. I mean, that jet of his, that Boeing jet of his, is very opulent. Again, there's nothing. Look, if you've got the money, live the way you want. I mean, that's what you earn the money for in the first place. I don't care if somebody is ridiculously rich and they flaunt it. If that's what they like, then so be it. They earned it. I mean, if they want to spend their money, great. Isn't part of the liberal nonsense is that, the rich don't spend their money. That's why they need to be taxed so heavily. Well, obviously, Donald Trump spends his money. And he's being bashed for spending his money because he's just flaunting his wealth. Well, if he doesn't spend it, then you're gonna run around and say that, see, Donald Trump he's a hoarder, he's selfish, he doesn't spend his money, he doesn't share it with his wealth with anybody. The rich can't win. That's the way it's a two-edged sword. The rich are damned if they spend and damned if they don't spend. Now, I don't have a problem with it. I don't know why anybody else does either, because, hell, middle America likes to try to flaunt whatever wealth they have, which is why people spend so much money on stupid cars that they otherwise really can't afford, or why they spent all their money on these stupid McMansions, because they want to appear to other people that they're successful, and they like the lifestyle that they're living that would otherwise be attached to a successful lifestyle. Again, if you earn the money and you want to spend it, I don't see a problem with it. Now, you got to be responsible with it, of course. I mean, you can't blow everything and then depend on the rest of us to take care of you. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But if you've got it, why not use it for your enjoyment? That's, isn't that what you're working for in the first place? Everybody? Yeah, the first part of working and having a job and earning an income is just so you can meet your bare necessities of life. The rest of it, it's all about how you want to live that life. And so, Donald Trump has made millions, billions of dollars. He can afford to have whatever he has now. Great. And yeah, there are a lot of residences and private residences in this country where if the owners were to become president and move into the White House, it would be a step down. It's not just Trump. Let's be honest about that. Which is why a lot of smart people who could be a good presidents don't run, because they don't want to take the step down. Well, that's the truth. Think about it. It would be you think a Vanderbilt would want to be president and leave all those big houses? Nah, come on. Of course not.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
And welcome back. Let me ask you something. Now, me personally, I'm not the type of person that I guess in some ways you could call me a free spirit. I would not want the lifestyle where I would have to have bodyguards all the time. I would never want it to be a big production of security before I even went to the mall. Oh, I don't go to the mall anyway. But I just wanted to go to the grocery store. But I would have to have a team of people around me check it out first, and before I could go in there and be surrounding me, and not having a private moment at all. I mean, you're being surrounded by these people, and they're watching you and everybody else around you. I mean, they can't take their eyes off of you. They have to. I would never want to have that kind of a lifestyle. I mean, no. I mean, I understand that when you do certain things or you grow a business to a certain point, that at some point, depending on where you go, you need that. Unfortunately, but I'm of the opinion I don't think any one human's life is really, when you come down to basics, it's not one human's life is worth more than others, and I don't believe that I personally wouldn't want somebody taking a bullet for me just so I can remain alive, because that person has a family, has loved ones. I mean, I get it. I understand why people do that, why the Secret Service does that, why police officers, on the beat every day do that. But I understand why our military goes out there and does that. But in reality, I don't think that we should expect others to do that for us, just because we think we're greater than they are. We're not. And neither is the president. Yeah, the president has an important position. But when it comes right down to it, he's not more important than any other American. I mean, what he does is, his job is extremely important, and that's what they're protecting. They're protecting the office and the job more than they are the person. They're protecting the country when they're doing that. I get that. The whole. Spock is famous for saying that, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And naturally, assassinating or attacking the President of the United States is actually an attack on the entire country. So, I mean, there is a little bit of a difference there when it comes to protecting, political leaders and such. But I just wouldn't want to. I like having my freedom as it is. And I think that people who want to be president, I mean, like some of them just don't realize. Remember the Obama's first term? Michelle Obama thought she was in a prison in the White House. Because they don't realize the change in lifestyle that's going to occur once they become the first family. I mean, it's just, she got that firsthand. She didn't expect it. I don't think it's easy for anybody to explain it to somebody else if they've never lived that way before. It's something that's totally different. It's a lifestyle that's totally different that most people are not used to. And I wouldn't want to live in that big bubble, big white bubble in Washington, D.C. I really wouldn't. Now, and I can safely say this because I know it's never going to happen. But if God were to tell me, Rod, you're going to run for president because I'm going to have you win, then obviously I would run. But I know that's not going to happen. So I can safely say I will never run for the office of president of the United States because I don't want to. Now, I don't think, Trump has changed my mind about being able to win. I used to say I wouldn't be able to win because, people wouldn't vote for me because I'd be too brash and too bombastic and too truthful. Well, Trump just sort of shattered that. So I guess I can't use that for an excuse anymore. Now I just have to say because I don't want to. Is that okay with people? I don't want to run for public office. Is that I'm still getting asked. I don't want to. I'm just saying. I'd much rather be a private citizen than a public servant in that capacity. I can serve the public and the greater good of my country in a different capacity than being an elected official, at least this point in my life anyway. I know people are still going to ask. I will politely decline, But I can no longer use the excuse, well, I couldn't get elected because I'd be too truthful. Because thanks, Donald, you just blew that excuse out of the water. Anyway, now we're at that time of the program where we bring you another wonderful and beautiful Christmas song from an independent artist. And where did they all go? Huh. Well, I had them all queued up here, and now they are somehow missing. So one moment while I get this wonderful Christmas song loaded up for your listening pleasure. It's a Holly Jolly Christmas, and it is a cover of Holly Jolly Christmas by The Format. That's the name of the group. That's all the information they gave me. I think it's theformatband.com. I'm not sure which one it is because there's a bunch of them out there, believe it or not. But this is by a group called The Format, and it's Holly Jolly Christmas.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet. Oh, oh, the mistletoe hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, kiss her once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh, by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year. All right. Woo. Oh, oh, the mistletoe hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, so once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet. Oh, oh, the mistletoe hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, so once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh, by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas. Yes, yeah.
And there you have, what is that, rockabilly sound? That's the rockabilly, well, I guess they're a rockabilly group then. The group called The Format with their rendition of Holly Jolly Christmas. And there is your Christmas song for this morning. Hopefully, you guys enjoy this kind of stuff. We got more coming. We got one that is a classic from last year next hour, so be here for that. For those of you who don't know, if you, and people are listening to this program in many different places, but there is a chat room if you want to. If you, on Spreaker.com itself, the show page, on Spreaker has a chat room, and they're talking about in the chat room about me having blonde hair. If I was like Trump, I'd have blonde hair like that. No, I look like Dennis Rodman. If I were blonde, I'd make Dennis Rodman look pretty. Just saying. But yeah, this program is heard in a number of different locales. And I can't mention them all on the air for specific reasons. But yeah, you can find this program, in a number of different places, and hopefully, as we're working on it as we speak, in the first quarter of next year, January or February, depending on when we actually nail everything down and get a start date, we'll be on even more networks and stations. So stay tuned for that announcement coming. Hopefully, I've been talking about it a lot now, so we better nail this down. But anyway, we are working diligently on that. But of course, you can always go to rodeccles.net and get all that information to stay up to breast of what is happening with me in this program. That's rodeccles.net. Hey, I'm giving out everybody else's web address. Why can't I give out my own? It is my show, after all, right? Of course. It's a bit chilly out there for much of the country. I was looking at a map this morning about with temperatures. They said that their big chill was coming this year. All that Alaskan and Alaska is still in a deep freeze. It's not minus 41 degrees up there, but it's still in a deep chill. All that Alaskan Canadian cold air is sinking down to the throughout the rest of the country. As a matter of fact, you're looking at, even in Miami, Florida, today and tomorrow, the high of only being around 75. That's still kind of cool for Florida. But there are places in Texas that are in the 30s. Southern California is in the 60s and 70s, low 70s. And, of course, the Rocky Mountain region, they're looking at negative, below zero temperatures and snow. Chicago, forecasters are predicting still that temperatures could fall 35 degrees below average as a polar plunge sweeps across the country. Now, forecasters are saying that temperatures will take a massive plunge over the next few days. They already have. And you got some places in the Rockies that are, minus teens and minus 20s already. Like I said, you got places in New Mexico and Arizona that are below freezing. Texas, too. McAllen, Texas, I think I saw this morning. Hey, when I was down there, they were going through a heat wave. It was 95 plus down there with high humidity. Well, as far as the rest of the week goes down in the McAllen, Texas area, they're not even going to hit 50. So literally, their temperature today, this week, is going to be half of what it was when I was down there in September. Literally. 50 degrees off. That's ridiculous. That's global warming for you. So these Arctic winds are sweeping across the country in a massive jet stream this week. Temperatures in some parts of the U.S. will be as much as 35 degrees below average. Snows forecast in the high plains and also in the Mississippi Valley and Northeast. We've got snow again today here in the Northeast in New Hampshire. And I guess we're expecting a little bit more. Even Texas is going to be chilly. Well, yeah, it is chilly. They're not even hitting 50 in McAllen. Dallas is expected to have its coldest day since 2015. Well, since 2015, it's 2016. It's only a year ago. They still got to have this global warming type of thing. Oh yeah, it's going to be as cold as it's been since 2015. Well, if it was cold in 2015, and we know it was cold in 2014, where's all that global warming? Where's all that heat? Where's all that record high land temperature? If Dallas is still cold when it's not normally this cold. I mean, you folks realize that McAllen, Texas was one of the southernmost cities in the USA. It's not the most southern, but it is one of the southernmost cities, and it's going to be 50. It's Mexico, right on the border with Mexico. Anybody think of Mexico as having snow and being cold? No. So there we go again with this, this global warming crowd being Mother Nature just slapping them in the face with their stupidity and their idiocy. Really. Sunday's snow also set a record in Chicagoland. Yeah, I didn't realize that Chicago got so much snow, but here's the story out of WJBC.com out of Chicago. The first snowfall to hit Illinois this fall was not a polite dusting like, first snowfall is used for most places is usually it's a reminder dusting that winter is coming. And it's usually not a record-breaking event. But the state climatologist Jim Angel said Sunday's snowfall total was the heaviest snow accumulation for a fall-winter season's first snow at the O'Hare International Airport, and likely other sites are near Chicago as well. It was the greatest first-of-the-season daily total for Chicago O'Hare Airport. That's the biggest one-day jump to the winter snowfall season. Sunday in Chicagoland, they got 6.4 inches of snow. And that surpassed, blew past, literally, the old record of 4.8 inches set in November of 1940. So 1940 definitely was not a year of global warming. When did they say global warming started? I don't know, you get different renditions. Well, it would have to be in the 80s. Because in the 60s and 70s, we didn't have global warming. We had global cooling. In fact, everybody's, all the wonderful wizards of smart when it came to climate change were warning us that mankind was going to put so much, CO2 and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. It was going to block out the sun, and we'd enter a man-made, man-forced ice age. I remember it clearly. And I get people argue with me today because they're too young to realize that is actually what happened, and they don't believe me. And then I point them to the original Dr. Seuss half-hour TV special that they aired every year during the decade of the 70s about global cooling. The Wonderful Mr. Lorax. It isn't the Jim Carrey movie. It specifically targeted young minds to tell them and indoctrinate them that we were going to go into an ice age and that it was going to be their parents' fault. And so now I guess we're going to go back to that, probably that global cooling mantra, yeah? These people, well, no, because now we're just in climate change. So every time the planet changes climate, it's going to be our fault, yeah. You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, Why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book Husband 2.0 Real Male Enhancement on Amazon.com.
Once upon a time, old Scrooge sat down before the fire.
Humbug.
His glance happened to rest upon a bell. With great astonishment, this bell began to swing, as did every bell in the house. Without a pause, Marley's ghost came on through the heavy door and passed into the room before his eyes.
Who are you? What do you want with me?
I am here to warn you. You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
I'd rather not.
Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1. Expect the second the next night at the same hour. And the third upon the next night.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over with?
To read A Christmas Carol and other books online, go to www.read.gov. Explore new worlds. Read. Yeah! Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Six 603-835-3226 is the number to call should you wish to join me here on the Rod Eccles Show. Look, you've got all these people running around out there talking about global warming, greenhouse gases type of thing, and it's just a farce. I mean, CO2. Let's just take CO2. I mean, it's the biggest danger to the entire planet. Well, there's been more CO2 in the atmosphere in this planet's past than there is today. And the planet was not burning, scorching desert. In fact, much of the planet was very lush and green and tropical foresty at that particular point in time. So I don't see what the problem is. Look, we're not going to burn up. Maybe we'll have some more tropical forest. That wouldn't be a bad thing. In any event, look at all the animals that are on the planet. Human beings. Sure, there's 7.5 billion of us now, somewhere around there, between 7 and 8 billion people. We're all breathing in oxygen and exhaling CO2, and so does every other mammal on the planet, and just about every other living being does the same thing. So we've got all of these creatures producing this greenhouse gas, but, I guess maybe that's why they want... Well, look at it this way. You could actually say that when a certain animal species goes extinct, they're actually trying to save the planet because that means they won't be producing any CO2 or any methane from their farting. I mean, the worst offenders out there besides cows for global warming have got to be all the deer out there, all the different forms of deer out there. The antelope, the deer, the elk, and the moose, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they got to be terrible. And then, of course, bears. Bears are big creatures that eat a lot, and they poop a lot. Bear scat in the forest is, you see that, you want to make sure that it's old because you don't want the bear nearby, but... bears produce an awful lot of methane, don't they? And so you think by bear hunting, that would be a good thing, too. We're trying to save... Hunters, by the way, are doing the planet a wonderful service by eliminating certain numbers of certain species that are more likely to produce more, shall we say, greenhouse gases. So it's a good thing. We should be celebrating our hunters as environmentalists. Then, shouldn't we? Yeah, I know it's absurd, folks, but they're absurd, and it's really starting to get on my nerves. They really got it. Breathing is now anti-Earth.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. and it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, You could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Very thick this morning. One of the things that came to mind is, well, I don't know. I mean, I still believe that hunters, obviously, when it comes to the global warming thing, are the biggest environmentalists out there. You know, if you actually look at all the wonderful people, I use that term loosely, that support Hillary Clinton or are anti-Trumpers, I guess, many of them don't do much. They don't contribute much to this society. I mean, how many people do you know in your inner circle or in your extended circle or even in your community, period, that have time to go out and protest in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week? No, most of the people you know are probably at work, earning a living, contributing to society. And these people out there that are, these wonderful minds full of mush, they believe in this global warming stuff. Well, why aren't they doing something, starting a company or a business that does something to fix the issue? Notice how none of them are doing it. Notice how they're all yelling and complaining at other companies for destroying the planet. Why aren't they out there looking for ways to improve alternative energy sources or to improve the efficiency of current energy sources? Why aren't they doing that? Why are they, if they believe so deeply that we're about to destroy our world, why aren't they doing something about it to save it instead of just complaining about it? And there's a guy up in Maine. Came across him because he was looking for bids for people to help him manage his social media. This guy, you know what he does? He goes and makes stuff large and small. When I say large, I mean, evidently he also makes these very unique sheds up in Maine. But it's all out of reclaimed timber and other reclaimed materials. The corrugated metal roof that he uses is reclaimed. Now, he even did. I actually saw this on Pinterest once, but he even did a shed, a rather large shed. You know what he used for the roofing material? Tin cans. That's right. He cut open tin cans. He said he used more than 3,000 tin cans in order to put a roof on this house. Now, that roof will last just about forever. I mean, the rest of the shed will probably rot away before that roof does. But so here's a guy who's doing stuff to quote unquote help the planet. He doesn't use anything new other than nails and glue. I guess you can't recycle glue, but his buildings, all his projects, he says, is more than 95% made of reclaimed or recycled materials. And when he does use something new, he says, he actually goes out into the woods of Maine and finds already felled, naturally fallen trees and turns that into boards in which he could utilize. I know there are some environmentalists that think that we shouldn't even do that either, but this is what this guy does. And he came about, according to his history, his histoire, he came about this idea simply because in Maine there aren't a lot of job opportunities, and he lost his job. And that's what he started doing to earn a living. And now I guess he does, kind of like Burt's Bees. Remember Burt? He does quite well for himself, I suppose. I mean, I don't think he's rich, but he's obviously living the middle class lifestyle up in Maine. But I don't see any of these wonderful collegiate minds full of mush running around out there trying to solve the problem that they're complaining about. All they're doing is protesting and demonstrating and destroying stuff, which means, by the way, when you go out there and you destroy a business and you break their windows and trash their stores and stuff, well, what do they got to do? They got to go out and buy new stuff to repair all the damage that you've done, which they wouldn't have had to do if you didn't damage everything. And so let's be honest, you people who are claiming that you're trying to protect the planet, you're actually doing more harm than you are good, simply because, one, you're not contributing to solve the problem. You're actually contributing to that contributes to the problem, because you're breaking stuff that should not have needed to be replaced yet. And all that energy to bring that stuff in, and the energy to bring the workers to those particular places to do the repairs, and the energy that they have to use in order to power up their equipment to make the repairs. I mean, hey, I'm sure that's very good for the earth, isn't it? So you people who claim that you're out there as trying to save the planet, you're actually helping to, in your words, destroy it. In any case, welcome back, folks. Hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. I am, of course, your lovable host, L. Rod, and coming to you live once again from the Bunkerized Studios from somewhere within the great snowy granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die, and the snow falls freely. I just added that last part in there. The call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. As we continue on in this Hump Day Wednesday, middle of the week, December the 7th, in the year of our Lord 2016, a day which still lives in infamy. That's a reference to Pearl Harbor, because I know there are plenty of people in Rush Limbaugh's Real Linda that do not know what infamy means. They don't. Speaking of infamy, I got 2 stories here from Hollywood. Yes, Hollywood. I mean, this is actually some ridiculous stuff here, folks. But there's a story in TheWrap.com. A Hollywood PR firm cancels their holiday parties due to post-Trump election funk. I got to bring a little levity to this for you, folks. Post-election funk is what they're calling it. Sunshine Sachs, S-A-C-H-S, which reps Natalie Portman and Leonardo DiCaprio. Leo, a big global warming advocate, as he flies around in his private jet all over the world talking about global warming and how mankind is doing it and polluting the planet, donates party budget instead to charities like, now they're calling these charities like this ACLU and Human Rights Campaign. Now, those are not charities. Those are political groups. They're left-wing political groups. They're not charities. I mean, ACLU, Human Rights Campaign, donate their holiday budget. Their holiday budget must have been huge if they're able to donate to such quote-unquote charities like that. The Hollywood publicity firm of Sunshine Sachs has canceled its annual bi-coastal holiday celebrations as a gesture of support for immigrants, as a gesture of support for women, as a gesture of support for LGBTQ people, and as a gesture for the environment. Wait a minute. They're throwing these lavish bi-coastal holiday parties every year, and now they say they can't do it because Trump got elected, so they're showing it as a show of support for the environment. Where do they get all the holiday stuff? Is it natural stuff that they get out of the forest that they make themselves? No, they buy all that plastic holiday decor, right? They don't even use real trees. They use the fake trees. Fake trees that are a form of plastic, which is made from what? Oil. These people they don't even realize how hypocritical they are, because that's how idiotic they are. They don't even realize. Do you know that last year there was a study that was done that showed that having a real Christmas tree was better for the environment than using a fake one? Well, based on the fact that the fake one took so much energy to create and it used oil. Well, I mean, that's the study. You know, because we were told for years, the real Christmas trees are terrible for the environment. There are something called Christmas tree farms. They grow them for this. We don't get our Christmas trees from the wild, most of us. They don't go out and cut down wild Christmas trees and then ship them off to Home Depot. These are Christmas tree farms. In other words, if these farmers didn't grow Christmas trees, they'd grow some other cash crop. Yeah, the idiocy that surrounds these people is absolutely mind-boggling at times. I mean, I look at this stuff on a daily basis, and there are just times when I'm shaking my head and doing a face palm. And the Hollywood PR firm canceling their holiday party as a show of support in part for the environment is a full-on face palm moment. Because they just don't realize how idiotic they are. But again, hey, these are the types of people that, and they represent people in what? The film industry, right? Is there an industry on the planet? Now, let's think about this for a second. I don't believe that there's an industry on the planet that is more anti-environment, more wasteful than the film industry. That goes for TV, video, movies, whatever. The film industry. Because look, Arnold Schwarzenegger is probably one of the, he's not an environmentalist, but he's got to be one of the biggest anti-environmentalists out there when it comes to this stuff. Because all the action stars, including people like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, who are all about, this global warming stuff. They're action stars. What happens in action movies? A lot of stuff gets broken, blown up, destroyed for no other reason than just pure entertainment. They're not really using anything. They're destroying a lot of stuff. That ends up in where? Landfills. Think about that for a second. You got all these Hollywood people, Hollywood types, whether they're in front or behind the camera, talking about global warming and how the rest of us are destroying the planet, and they're the biggest destroyers of the planet there are, because all they do is utilize stuff not for the betterment of mankind, but just simply to entertain us. And they entertain us in such a way that, it's not like, Shakespearean plays where everything is done on a stage and there's very little destruction to anything. No, they go out and make these big productions, splash productions, use all of this stuff for nothing, and then it gets all torn up, thrown away, never to be used again. They take new cars and stuff and blow them up, crash them, destroy them. They can't be used anymore. Where do they go? How is it? And look, you got some of these racing movies. It takes a lot of fuel to run those race cars around just for a movie. All the chase scenes. It's a lot of gas. And yet, we're the ones destroying the planet. Hey, Matt Damon, by the way, is defending his role in his newest movie, The Great Wall. Speaking of hypocritical, he's defending the movie The Great Wall against charges of whitewashing. See, these people, they're turning on themselves now. It's hilarious. Yes, and this is from Yahoo News Entertainment. Hollywood actor Matt Damon yesterday defended his starring role in an upcoming Hollywood film, The Great Wall, saying that accusations of whitewashing or the use of Caucasian stars over actors of other ethnicities were unfounded. Now, Zhang Yimou, Y-I-M-O-U, called me and asked me to be in the movie, Damon said, referring to the film's director. Chinese guy asked Damon, I don't know, is Zhang Yimou an Asian responsible for whitewashing his own movie? He's got to respond to these people saying, "Hey, I don't know. Does that mean that Matt Damon is now a racist too?" You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Once upon a time, old Scrooge sat down before the fire.
Humbug.
His glance happened to rest upon a bell. With great astonishment, this bell began to swing, as did every bell in the house. Without a pause, Marley's ghost came on through the heavy door and passed into the room before his eyes.
Who are you? What do you want with me?
I am here to warn you. You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
I'd rather not.
Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1. Expect the second the next night at the same hour. And the third upon the next night.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over with?
To read A Christmas Carol and other books online, go to www.read.gov. Explore new worlds. Read. Yeah! Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
So now you have Matt Damon out there who is under fire, under the gun for whitewashing. Now this is a liberal thing because they all feel so because they're so erudite. They all feel so responsible for all the racism in the world that has ever taken place, and yet, by them doing this, one, they're proving how hypocritical they actually are, because Hollywood's behind this too. And liberals are some of the most racist people on the planet. I mean, think about it. Anywhere liberals are in charge, look at all the race baiting that goes on. Last year you had the Oscars, the Smiths, Will and Jada, and a few others boycotted the Oscars because of it was the whitest Oscars that they've seen in years, or some stupid thing like that, right? But wait a minute, this is Hollywood full of a bunch of liberals. You would think that they would be more in tune to diversity. Well, evidently not. And now Matt Damon is being called on the mat for all of this. Now, look, I'm not saying that Matt Damon believes in this whitewashing nonsense. I haven't heard him espouse on that issue. I really don't care, and I don't want to know what he really thinks about it. It's irrelevant. But he's still a part of that liberal Hollywood gang, ultra-liberal Hollywood gang, and he's being attacked. Now, Damon said that the issue was very important, but drew a distinction between the practice and his role in the Great Wall. He says, when I think of whitewashing, I think Chuck Connors playing Geronimo. That's whitewashing, and that's unacceptable, he said, referring to Connors, who's Caucasian, white, who's a white actor who played Native American Chief Geronimo back in the 1962 Western. There was a lot of whitewashing in Hollywood back then, definitely. Now, Zhang, the acclaimed director behind Hero and House of Flying Daggers, very Chinese, right, and beautifully done movies, by the way. Love them both. Said Jet Li was in Hero, and was it Chow Yun-fat was in House of Flying Daggers? I think it was Chow Yun-fat. Now, he said the accusations were unfair to Damon. This is a Chinese guy, very Chinese. Now, once you've seen the film, you see that it's not like that. There's no whitewashing involved. Now, I don't know what the movie's about, but evidently Damon is obviously a major star in the movie, along with a bunch of Chinese or Asian-looking people. Didn't Tom Cruise do a movie? What was a Tom Cruise movie? He did a movie in Asia, too, The Last Samurai Warrior or something like that. Did anybody claim that was whitewashing? I don't think so. I don't believe it was, because his character, I don't know what Matt Damon's character is in this movie, but Tom Cruise's character, he was what, a Brit, or was he an American? In any case, he was a European in China, and I suppose a European could have been played by an Asian person. Probably wouldn't have been as believable. But this stuff is, all of this stuff, folks, is so hypocritical. What did Rod just do? Did Rod say that millennials are simple-minded? Yeah, I did. Millennials are simple-minded folk, and not by choice. They've been dumbed down to this way. I mean, which means that they have the opportunity to become learned people and really learn real stuff. They do. They have the ability to do that, but yeah, well, it is what it is, folks, I suppose. But anyway, well, when we get back, we've got the Christmas song. Plus, there's more stuff about, the election process, the Electoral College. I want to give you a lesson on the Electoral College, folks. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
And welcome back. Yes, now it is time for that wonderful part in the program where I bring to you yet another wonderful Christmas ditty from an independent artist. This is a classic from last year. Well, we've only done it 1 year. This is only the second annual time, so the classic was done last year. Next year we'll have 2 years of classics. How's that? But this year this classic comes from last year, and it's by Wes Putnam, wesputnam.com, and his rendition of Away in a Manger. Was Wes Putnam's version of Away in a Manger, wesputnam.com. I just need to add something here about all the musical artists that have appeared and will be appearing on this program. It doesn't mean that, well, none of these artists actually sponsor any part of this program or any of my websites. They don't. And it doesn't mean that they endorse anything that I say just because they have their music played here. They, look, they're like everybody else. This is a format for them to get their stuff out there for people to hear it. And they understand. Now, I just want to make that clear. I know some people might think, well, geez, he supports Rod or he believes in... No, not necessarily. Look, you got, for example, Rush Limbaugh's theme song, and it's been his theme song since the day one, as far as I can remember. There was a short period of time that he wasn't allowed to use it, but it's from the Pretenders. Chrissy Hines and her band. And there was a short period of time when she got upset and didn't want him to use it anymore, so he didn't. But then they made a deal. I guess, Rush offered pay her enough money for her to go away and shut up. That was probably what it was all about, to get him to pay more money for the song. But obviously, she's a big, gigantic libtard, liberal. She doesn't endorse Rush Limbaugh. But yet her music, her and her group's song is Rush Limbaugh's theme. Look, they just want their stuff played. They want people. They understand that even conservatives buy music and listen to music too. They just want their stuff played. So there's nothing inferred here that any of these artists. No doubt, some of these artists are probably huge libs, and I don't particularly care either. You know, if their music is good and it's entertaining, I don't really care what their personal politics are. I'll play it. Unless they want to start utilizing it like some actors have been doing of late. They want to really start being activists and start using all that money against the rest of the country. Well, then I'll take a stand. But, you know, if they just basically go about their lives, they can have their own political views. They can vote for Hillary. I don't mind. They can do that. Speaking of voting for Hillary, this is from Need to Know Network. NTKnetwork.com. Need to Know Network. Disgruntled Democrats now want a constitutional convention so they can leave the union. Yes, you heard that correct. You know, there's this movement called the Article 5 movement, Convention of States. And, you know, I learned about this when I was in California last year. Not this year, but last year. There was a big movement. There's a big group out there in Northern California that's pushing for this Convention of States because they wanted to be able to really stop Obama. But so they were going to utilize the power of the states and the Constitution in order to do so. Well, Democrats were all aghast about that. Yeah, you can't do that. That's going around the federal government and you're just going to weaken the federal government and blah. They were all now all of a sudden they're into it. Representative Zoe Lofgren, Lofgren, a Democrat from California, conceded the Democrats could not get rid of the Electoral College due to the way that the United States Constitution is written. Oh, really? Really? Now they're paying attention to the Constitution. She says, I don't think we can sustain our American democracy by having the majority ruled by the minority. And so the question is how to fix this since the Constitution is written in such a way that it's almost impossible to amend. Yeah, they wanted to make it hard because they didn't want it to be changed on a whim. Now, Lofgren went on to say that she is open to a constitutional convention. We are 3 states away from calling for a constitutional convention. It's something I've always been opposed to. Democrat opposed to it. But I'll say because for the second time in 16 years, people, the American voters elected, did not become president, referring to Hillary garnering more votes than Donald Trump in the popular vote, which is still in question whether or not she actually did get all those votes, because we know that there are at least 4 million illegal votes via dead people. So, did she really win by 2 million? If there are 4 million people who voted who couldn't have voted? Probably not. But that you know, Democrats never let the facts get in the way of their stupidity. So now they're saying that the Electoral College is unfair. But if you look at the electoral map, and if you see where Hillary Clinton's support comes from, you want to talk about the minority ruling over the majority? Well, if the Democrats had their way, New York, Illinois, and California, specifically Southern California, would have determined who the president is. 2.5 states would have determined the president out of 50. The rest of the country would have been irrelevant. And that's exactly what the founders didn't want to happen. Let's go to Conservative College, shall we? The School of Ecclesiastes here, and learn about the Electoral College a little bit. Here's a quick refresher course. Now, we got to be able to appreciate the reasons for the Electoral College. You need to understand that. You need to understand it in its historical context. The big problem that the founding fathers, had in trying to solve this particular issue. I mean, the questions that they had were, excuse me, how to elect the president of this great nation. Now just remember, there were only 13 states, large and small, when they first got started. And those states were obviously, in the Constitution bears witness to that, that they were all jealous of their own powers, their own rights. They were highly suspicious after just defeating, a very big central government. They were highly suspicious of another powerful central national government. The population at the time was only, what was the estimates? Are somewhere between 4 to 5 million people at that time, and 13 colonies, north to south, were pretty well spread out at that too. Just basically along the Atlantic coast. That's all the states were back then. And obviously they didn't have radios and telephones and, communications equipment that we have today that came later. So information and news was hard to come by. And it was very difficult because there was no highway system. It was very difficult for contenders and public figures to run for a national office of the 13 colonies and be in places, all over the country at the time. It's very easy for, Trump and anybody else to get on a jet and fly here. And it was easier for Lincoln to do, whistle stop tours. A lot of presidents did that in the 1800s. They didn't have that kind of transportation system back in 1776 and to 1800. It just didn't exist. It wasn't invented yet. So, but they believed that that what would happen is that there would be certain people, larger population centers like New York City, would be influenced by other outside forces, in that those large population centers would be able to dictate what the rest of the country did. They didn't want that. They wanted small states in population, not just size, but small states, to be able to have a near equal say in how the nation of 13 colonies would be run and who would represent them. Now, how could you do that? Obviously, you couldn't do it by electing via a popular vote, because then the major population centers like New York City, Philadelphia, and Boston would have determined the outcome for the entire country. So it couldn't be just by popular vote. The minority could not have such power over the majority. So they considered a number of different ideas. One of the ideas that they considered was to have Congress choose the president. But the idea was resoundingly rejected because many of the delegates felt that making such a choice would be too divisive an issue and leave too many hard feelings in the Congress. A second idea was to have state legislatures select the president. This was also rejected out of fears that the president would be so beholden to the state legislatures and might permit them to erode federal authority and thus undermine the entirety of the Federation. So then there was the idea, somebody brought up, well, how about a direct popular vote? Again, the problem was you'd have large population centers, minority, being able to dictate what the rest of the country would be like. And At worst, they felt that no president would emerge as a popular majority sufficient to govern the whole country, again, because of the lack of communication ability and transportation ability. So these presidents or potential candidates would only visit certain major population centers. That's a fear that is still very relevant today. Then there was another one called the Committee of 11. Now, there was one that said, well, maybe it should be a Committee of 13, basically, to match the number of states. But came down the Committee of 11 and in the Constitutional Convention, and they proposed as an indirect election of the president through a college of electors. The function of the College of Electors in choosing the president can be linked to that, and I'm reading this directly from a college that teaches the Constitution. USElectionAtlas.org. The function of the College of Electors in choosing the president can be linked to that of the Roman Catholic Church of the College of Cardinals selecting the Pope. The original idea was for the most knowledgeable and informed individuals from each state to select the president based solely on merit and without regard to state or origin or political party of the candidate. The structure of the Electoral College can be traced to the central assembly system of the Roman Republic. Under that system, the adult male citizens of Rome were divided, according to their wealth, into groups of 100 called centuries. Now, each group of 100 was entitled to cast only one vote either in favor or against proposals submitted to them by the Roman Senate. In the Electoral College system, the states serve as the essential groups, though they are not, of course, based on their wealth. And the number of votes per state is determined by the size of each state's congressional delegation. Still, the two systems are similar in design and share many of the same advantages and disadvantages. Now, basically, it is a way that the founders sought as a way to level the playing field, as it were, for all 50 states, or in this case, all 13 original states. So a big state didn't have more say or more representation simply because they had more people than a smaller state. There was a balancing of it. Thereby, a particular candidate didn't have to just go to, say, New York State and win New York City and win the presidency. They would have to get a more than half, the majority of the states involved, and win those in order to be elected. And of course, as the country grew to its current size of 50 states, the Electoral College also grew, but the same premise remained intact. Therefore, you cannot, in this country, have a president of 50 states of 300 and nearly 320 million people and have them elected by only a few million people in 2, 3, or 4 states. The Electoral College was a brilliant idea. It was a brilliant compromise. And the Electoral College must stay. Because if they are ever to succeed in doing away with the Electoral College and the indirect election of our president, we will no longer have a republic. Our country will become a country ruled by the minority. Plain and simple. And that is what the Founding Fathers wanted to avoid.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Once upon a time, old Scrooge sat down before the fire.
Humbug.
His glance happened to rest upon a bell. With great astonishment, this bell began to swing, as did every bell in the house. Without a pause, Marley's ghost came on through the heavy door and passed into the room before his eyes.
Who are you? What do you want with me?
I am here to warn you. You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
I'd rather not.
Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1. Expect the second the next night at the same hour. And the third upon the next night.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over with?
To read A Christmas Carol and other books online, go to www.read.gov. Explore new worlds. Read. Yeah! Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
You know, these guys, the founders, were brilliant men, and they were very reasoned and logical people, and they went through a lot of arguments, severe arguments, in order to come up with a constitution. And these guys were basically governmental noobs. Well, guess who else is being called a noob? That would be Donald Trump. Yes, the Chinese news agencies and newspapers are calling Donald Trump a noob, mostly because, you know, he took that call, the congratulatory call from the Taiwan president. And, well, this noob is already running circles around a bunch of these world leaders, saving jobs here in the United States and causing, Mexican elected officials to be ticked off. He's received congratulatory calls from over 50 world leaders, national leaders from around the world. And yet, they're calling this guy a noob. Well, he's not an insider like most of the rest of the world leaders are, which means they don't know what he's going to do. They can't predict. They don't know. They can't buy him off. They can't make deals with him in the past and all that come up from the past and stuff. This guy is a true independent. And that's what, Xi Jinping of China doesn't like. There's nothing there to help them figure out who Donald Trump is and what he's going to do. And that's a good thing for the United States. We're actually going to have an independent leader who's thinking of America first and who isn't going to allow these people to just, hammer us anymore. What the world fears, what the world fears the most is not really Donald Trump, but what he represents. What the world fears the most is a strong, politically strong, militarily strong United States of America. Economically strong United States of America. They like the old days when we were under Obama. Oh, they had a great time in that. Anyway, folks, we'll be back here tomorrow. We're out of time for today. I'm Rod Eccles. Thanks for tuning in to the program. Have a wonderful Hump Day, Remembrance Day of Pearl Harbor. I'm out.